This is Selena Knight, and welcome to the first episode of Leveraging Brain Science in the Microlearning series. So today, in this episode, we're going to talk about a couple things that help you understand how to leverage the way our brain works and the way our students' brains work to learn. And the first concept being text and speech. So it is impossible for human beings to actually simultaneously read words while also listening to someone speak. This includes reading as the teacher's talking. This might be two teachers talking, a video talking to me while another teacher's talking. So basically, our brains can only process one input at a time. And when we read, we actually have a voice going in our head, which interferes with anybody else speaking. On the right, you can see an image here that kind of shows what happens. What happens is either the voices, whether it's the voice in our head or our teacher's voice, or somebody talking to us, one of them is going to get blocked while the other goes through. So you can really only concentrate on one at a time. What this means is a lot of times in school, we tend to put things up on the board, we put our instructions up, and then we talk. Well, the students are doing one of two things. They're either trying to focus on your words or they're reading what you've given them. And they can't do both. And often when we try to do both, that's when things get lost. So they are trying to jump quickly between reading and listening. And when they do this, it actually impairs the retention of both streams of information. So if you are putting slides with content and information up, and then you're still lecturing or talking to the kids about it, they're reading what's up there and they're trying to process that as well as hearing you, and things are getting dropped. So some things that could mean for us in the classroom and some applications would be when you are presenting, if you are talking to your students, make sure that you are their focal point. We'll talk about images in a minute. You can use images, but if you have text, they're going to be divided with their attention. You might want to direct their attention to you and make sure that you have very few words or minimal words if you do have to. This also would include giving a handout to students while you're talking. They're going to be distracted and they're going to be trying to read and process what you've given them. So if you have a handout for them that you want them to have to go back to later, give it to them afterwards so that they can truly focus on your words or the video you want them to watch or the content, so they can truly follow the speaker. And then helping to, like, computerizing text and speech is also no different. So keep in mind this when we're giving them, like in our digital learning platforms, if we are giving them a bunch of text on a slide, but then we also have a video of us speaking or recording a lesson, we might want to separate those things so they focus only on one at a time. The next concept that we wanted to talk about is images in speech and how our brain processes images in speech. Fortunately for us, listening to speech while looking at images can actually improve memory for our students. And we as educators know this because it's, we put up pictures that are relevant, those memory pegs, the anchor charts that we use. It helps students conceptualize much more quickly what you want them to know. So hearing and vision are processed separately, and notice that in our graphic over here, they both make it through and complement one another. So they combine to help make the learning more efficient and more specific. Because if I have a visual, I know exactly what you mean now, and I'm not having to build my own mental pictures for something, provided that that's not what I don't need you to spend your brain power building the mental images. I need you to focus on the concept, and this is what I'm talking about. So what does that mean for us in the classroom? Well, using predominantly images with our presentations, or using those anchor charts and using those memory pegs that help tie a visual to the learning. But it needs to be one at a time. So giving them a bunch of images is overwhelming and they're trying to look at everything. So giving them one meaningful image that's complementary and relevant to the learning. So we sometimes get wrapped up in engagement. Engagement's not the same as complementing and learning. So we give them an image or a GIF that's funny to capture their attention and get them with us. that's not necessarily going to help them understand the information better. But an image that complements the learning you're trying to get them to accomplish helps solidify the learning. So make sure that whatever image you give them is really going to help them understand and deepen their learning with the content. And then using those things whenever the students are able to tie that to connections that make sense to them and learning. Graphs and tables, by the way, are not quite the same, but if you are using graphs and tables which have multiple focal points, highlighting or helping them focus on what is important is also a tip that helps them with processing those images and helping to connect it to their learning. So as we go through, there's some more information on these 2 slides, and there's some really helpful videos that you will have access to these slides as well in the microlearning episode. Explore those concepts further using those linked videos and the slides. And remember that sometimes all it takes is a small change to make a huge impact on learning. And so I want to leave you in this micro series episode with this question. How can you leverage the information on text and speech that we talked about and images and speech to enhance learning for your students?